Anybody you tell your story to will probably understand why you are the way you are. But how long are you going to keep acting like that? Hey girl, so let's just have a little chat while I drive. I'm on my way to get some food, and I figured I would talk to y'all while I drive because this one particular topic that I wanted to speak on, it was like really heavy on me, and I didn't want to lose what I had in mind because I did not write anything down for this. I just wanted to talk to y'all about something that I feel like holds a lot of people back, and that is victim mentality. As we go through life, things happen to us, traumatic things, some worse than others. And while it's true that our life experiences really shape who we are, how we act, what we do, how we think, I think it's important for us to remember that things do not always happen to us, but some stuff happens for us. It's important to understand that, and it's also important to understand that sometimes you are the problem. And I think a lot of the time we use the things that have happened to us and, you know, our hard life experiences as excuses for why we are lazy, why we're terrible people, rude to people, nasty, unproductive, unhappy. And that is one of the things that I feel like holds most people back. I can admit that used to be me. Like, for example, I spoke about this in another video. I feel like it was one of my most recent videos. But I was talking about how in one of my very first relationships, I went through so much. Like, I was cheated on all the time. That relationship was probably like the lowest that I felt in life. And I used to kind of use that as an excuse for why I was acting in the way that I was acting. Like, that situation took a toll on me that I didn't even really realize. And the only thing I really wanted to accept was the fact that I was a victim. And if I tell the story to most people, they will agree that I was indeed the victim. But like I said, that situation really shaped me and changed the way that I acted towards men and changed the way I showed up in relationships. And I didn't want to accept that part because we never want to accept the fact that, okay, somebody did something to me and yes, they were wrong, but this has changed me and now I'm wrong. So I ended up getting into another relationship like fairly quickly after that one. And that's when I found out that my stink too. I got issues too, and sometimes I am the problem. You know, I felt like, okay, this happened to me, so it's excusable if I act like XYZ. It's excusable if I have an attitude. It's excusable if I don't trust anybody. It's excusable if I don't know how to be interdependent. And while it kind of is, I cannot sit in that forever. As long as you keep telling yourself that you are the victim in your story and in your situation, you will never make changes to become better. You will never take the steps to rewrite your story. Your situation, whatever happened to you, your trauma, whether it was in a relationship, whether it was, you know, some type of family trauma or whatever it was, friendship, whatever, that does not define you. It does not define who you are, and you cannot live in that situation forever. Eventually you have to own your own stuff and you have to become better. I feel like if you're like in your late 20s, you've probably dated a man. Well, I feel like all of us have dated a man who experienced some trauma in his life, and he tried to use that as an excuse for why he did certain things that he did to us. Even men experience it too. You know, you get in a relationship with somebody and you notice that they got this baggage, they've had some trauma or whatever, and they constantly use it as an excuse for why they act the way that they do. And like I said, understandable. Anybody you tell your story to will probably understand why you are the way you are. But how long are you going to keep acting like that? Sometimes you have to change the way you think about certain situations. No matter how bad it may seem, you have to tell yourself, this did not just happen to me, it happened for me. This happened so that I could grow into a better person. This happened so that I can become better for the next relationship. I lost everything, lost all my money, lost my job so that I could learn how to manage my finances that way. When God blesses me with something better, more money, bigger opportunities, I know how to manage those things. You can't manage the big things if you don't know how to manage the small things. I talked about that before in another one of my videos about how I went through this season where I was like broke. Just had a baby, was off work for 2 months, went back to work, clients ghost, not all of them, but a good amount of them, and I couldn't really find like my rhythm with getting back into work. And it wasn't until basically 2 years later, because I just had this realization recently, that, you know, I realized this did not just happen to me, it happened for me. If I would have never gone through that experience, if I would have never gone through not having any money and having a child that I had to provide for, granted, you know, his father is very active in his life, so he didn't really need anything, but still, as a mother, as a parent, period, you want to be able to provide for your child. You want to be able to provide yourself with the type of lifestyle that you're used to. If that had not happened to me, I would not have thought of more ways to make money. I would have been so content with the amount of money that I was making before doing lashes. I would have never thought bigger. I would have never started a YouTube channel. It's like certain things happen to push us. Like a lot of things happen to push us out of our comfort zone, because nothing can really grow in your comfort zone. You're only going to get but so big. You're only going to get but so far if you're stuck in a box. There were so many things that happened in my life that I know were meant to just push me out of my box. In a lot of those situations, I could have sat and moped and had this woe is me mentality and just had everybody feeling sorry for me and me feeling sorry for myself. But where's that going to get me? Where would that have gotten me? Nowhere. Now I'm in a much better situation. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm much further than I was this time last year, even 6 months ago. Like I'm way further than I was at those points. And that's because I had to go through this time where I had to figure stuff out. I had to come up with more ideas. I had to become more creative. I had to become more innovative. I had to manage my time better so that I could do more things that would allow me to make more money and build this brand that I was trying to build. I always wanted to start a YouTube channel. Like I have been a YouTube girly since the OGs of YouTube. Like when Jackie Aina was doing makeup tutorials and Makeup Shayla and Aaliyah J. When all those people, Time the Infamous, when all of them were doing makeup tutorials, I was on YouTube watching them. Everything I know how to do to this day, I learned from YouTube. Even a lot of stuff concerning like lash extensions, I learned from YouTube. A lot of things that have to do with like my mindset that I have now, YouTube. A lot of y'all be asking me like, who do I watch and like who has contributed to the way that I think now? And all of these people are on YouTube for the most part. There are like a few that are on Instagram, but for the most part, all these people are on YouTube. I have always had a passion for stuff like this, and that is why I make the videos that I make now, because this is what I have always watched. This is what I've always been passionate about. But I always talked about it and never actually did it. Like I always said, I would love to be a YouTuber. I would love to get paid for being myself. I would love to get paid for giving people the things that I give people for free now on a daily basis. But I had to be pushed and forced into doing that. Like I said, I never recommend that anybody starts a YouTube channel for the money, like ever. I don't really recommend that anybody starts anything for money, because when you're not making the money, you have to have some type of something driving you and pushing you to keep on going. So because I had a passion for YouTube and I had a passion for the type of content that I was making, I was able to push through those slow months, because I knew eventually this is going to put me in a position where I can do XYZ if I really stick with it. And like I said, because it's something that I love, I was able to stick with it. But I would not have even thought to do that. I wouldn't have started thinking bigger if I was not put in a situation where I had nothing. The good thing about rock bottom, I always say this to people when I'm trying to like encourage them whenever they're feeling like really low or at their lowest point. The good thing about rock bottom is that there's only one way to go, and that's up. When I was so low, sitting in front of my laptop crying about how I only had $15 in my bank account, the thing that kept me going was the fact that I couldn't really get no broker than I was. I mean, I could have, because I could have not been able to pay my bills, really. And my bills have always been paid. So thank God for that. But y'all get what I mean. Like, I could have just been like, you know what? I could have just been feeling sorry for myself and just moping around all the time, just crying about it. But while I was crying about it, I was doing what I had to do to get myself out of that situation. And I realized from the things that I came up with when I was in that situation, I realized that I was thinking so small before I started dealing with it. I was making a good amount of money doing lashes before I had Jax. Most people would say I was making a lot of money, especially for my age, because anyone who knows me knows that I have been an entrepreneur for as long as I can remember. Like my last real job that I had was when I was in college, and that only lasted for a few months. And my real job was working at Walmart, and I only was there for maybe like 2 months. I graduated college 5 years ago. So all I know was entrepreneurship. But I was making a good amount of money for my age and was able to provide for myself. I've always provided for myself. I've always paid any bill that I've ever had from being an entrepreneur. I was cool with that. Like, I wasn't thinking about bigger. I thought I was doing so much because I was surrounded by people who were, you know, they were working 9 to 5s. And like I said, I was kind of young, so my friends' 9 to 5s weren't even like careers. So I just felt like I was doing the most compared to everybody around me. So, you know, there was no need for me to really think bigger. And my idea of a lot of money at that time is nowhere near what my idea of a lot of money is now. Like, so much stuff has changed, but it's because I did not have that victim mentality and I tried to crawl my way out of where I was. So just remember, keep in mind, whenever you're going through things, or if you have gone through things in the past and you just feel like nothing has been working for you ever since, get out of that victim mentality, because things don't just happen to you, they happen for you. God makes no mistakes. Like, everything works out for your good in the end. But that cannot happen if you're stuck in the, why is this happening to me? Why did this happen to me? Why did this person do this to me type of mentality. It's not going to get you anywhere. Stop crying about what your ex did to you. Stop crying about all them times you got cheated on. Stop crying about how your child's father left you to raise your kid by yourself. Stop crying about the fact that you lost your job. Stop crying about that friend that betrayed you. Like, let it go. And I know it's easier said than done, but that's what you got to do. And if you are going to hold on to it, at least try to keep trucking while you're holding on to it. Eventually you'll be able to let it go, but you got to take a step forward at some point. Like, you sitting in what happened to you and sitting in what was done to you and sitting in what you lost, it's not going to get you anywhere. Although you may be the victim, stop keep telling yourself that you're the victim. Stop keep acting like the victim, because yes, it happened to you, but it is your responsibility to pull yourself out of that and to move on. Yes, somebody did XYZ to you, but you got to own how that has changed you. Accept that, take accountability for that, and do the necessary work to become better for your next relationship, for your next friendship. If you dead broke right now, figure out how to make more money. Like, get creative. Pull yourself out of that situation. And it might not happen right away. Like I said, sometimes it's a very slow walk, a very slow crawl, but you got to do what you got to do, because it's better to be at point C than to still be at point A when you're on your way to Z. So I hope this resonates with somebody. Even if this touches one person, 2 people, 5 people, 20 people, whatever. Hopefully this helps somebody. And yeah, I'm about to go in here and get my food because your girl is starving. So yeah, make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. And if you have any thoughts that you want to share, just leave them down below. You got any questions for me, leave them down below. Of course, as always, love y'all, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye.